Hello everyone, welcome back to the class. So for this week, we again won't have our synchronized session because I want to leave you more time to finish the close reading assignment and also to watch this very long, like 2.5 hour movie. And don't forget to read the novel as well because to describe the Red Cliffs and its aftermath, the novel and the movie actually has a different take. And it's very interesting to compare the two and find where the discrepancies lie and make your own judgment and some guessing about why to have such a design. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to make a very brief introduction to the plot we are going to read and going to watch for this week and the first half of next week, and also pointed out several things I would like you to pay attention to. Okay. So this week and the first half of next week is focusing on Red Cliff, the huge battle, and also its aftermath. The direct aftermath is the failure of Cao Cao and how Cao Cao get away from that battlefield and get away from the chasing of the Wu and the Shu kingdom. The first thing I want to mention is the deception and the deceived. Because now we are entering a different realm, like not only the warriors are fighting in the battlefield, but also the scholars and all the strategists are always working behind and provide their abilities and their excellent trap for the enemies. So there's a lot of information change, and people and the characters in the novel get certain level of information. So the one get all the information is one setting the trap, while other people may be deceived. And viewing from that perspective, the story is getting more and more interesting. So it's totally, we can say this battle of Red Cliff is not only a military battle, not only a battle about military power, but also, more importantly, a battle of wits. So who actually make up the traps? From the movie and also from the novel, you'll see that's first Zhuge Liang, the very genius strategist working for Liu Bei, for Xuan De. And also Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu is a general working for the Shu kingdom, working for Sun Quan. Even if Zhou Yu is actually a general, he also provides a lot of strategy in this certain battle. And also you will see how he utilizes his wits to deceive some people like Jiang Gan and to achieve his own goals. So both Zhuge Liang and Zhou Yu contribute a lot into making traps for the enemies to deceive Cao Cao, to deceive the Wei Kingdom's army. Then who are deceived? So, for example, the most important figure appeared in both the novel and the movie is Jiang Gan. So Jiang Gan is Zhou Yu's old friend, and he went to, if you still remember the plot, he went to Wu Kingdom because Cao Cao assigned him an assignment that is to persuade Zhou Yu to working for Cao Cao. But Jiang Gan didn't know Zhou Yu kind of set up a trap for him and it intentionally leaked some information to him and led him to bring back to Cao Cao. So if you watch the film, read the novel, you'll see how Jiang Gan is totally manipulated by Zhou Yu. And another figure always being deceived, especially in this battle, is actually Cao Cao. That is pretty interesting, and we will discuss a little bit about later. But Cao Cao seems to be always not so smart, and always step on the traps set up by Zhou Yu and Zhuge Liang, which lead to the total failure, the final failure of this whole battle. And also there's one very interesting figure named Lu Su. Lu Su appeared very prominently in the novel compared to the movie, because in the movie Lu Su is just a person who introduced Zhuge Liang to Sun Quan, that's all. But actually, in the novel, you will see Lu Su kind of undertook that kind of role of communicating between Zhuge Liang and Zhou Yu, Because if you still remember from last time, we said that 诸葛亮 and 周瑜 in the novel are rivals. They're not that close friends like in the movie. So they have their own thoughts and even kind of set up traps for each other. And Lu Su is the one kind of mediate in between these two guys and being a communicator. So which is very interesting. And after analyzing all these, who make up the traps, who are deceived, I think one more very interesting question is, where do our readers stand? What's our standpoint? So we, of course, when reading the novel, we are kind of have a God view. We know everything what is happening, but the way the writer writes the novel, the way he writes this plot first and reveal that truth later, this kind of sequence also lead us to be view the story view from some certain perspective, not that kind of godlike view. So I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on where is your standpoint, where should our readers stand in all these deceptions and traps and strategies. And we'll see actually in this battle, 诸葛亮 finally reveals his magical power. So he not only can observe and predict the change of the weather, that is most prominent in the scene when he was going to borrow the arrow. So he kind of look at the wind and say, oh, there will be a great mist. So a great fog. So I will be able to deceive Cao Cao. Like I don't have any actual army on my boat, but I will let them thought I have brought a lot of army and shoot arrows towards me. So that ability to observe and predict the change of weather is one of the most important kind of ability of 诸葛亮. But furthermore, in chapter 49 in the novel, actually the writer kind of pushed that a little bit further and said 诸葛亮 actually can supplicate the wind on the 7-star altar. That is, after several days, because it's in the winter, there's no eastern wind. But to use the fire attack on Cao Cao's army, the Wu kingdom, 周瑜, very eagerly needs this eastern wind. And 诸葛亮 said, okay, why not you now set up an altar for me and I will go to pray for the eastern wind for you. And he did that for over a day and a night, and then suddenly the wind came. So you see that total thing is very like magical and superpower like. It's kind of beyond common people. So I think at that point, 诸葛亮 showcases to us his ability is way beyond a scholar or a normal strategist, but more like even a shaman or a godlike figure. So I think it's very interesting to see this part of 诸葛亮 and how the novel is trying to deify 诸葛亮. And if you still remember, we mentioned that a little bit last time, the 3 elements to win for in Chinese traditional thoughts is the heaven, the earth, and the people. And last time we said Liu Bei, Xuan De, because he doesn't have a lot of army, he don't even have any territory. So the only thing he has is people. But after he got 诸葛亮, according to all these ability 诸葛亮 have that can summoning the wind and can predict the weather, all these kind of things, we can say now Xuan De already got the heaven as well. The heaven is now on his part. So he has heaven and people. And later, when he wins this battle or sort of wins this battle together with the Wu kingdom, he will go to the southwest and claim his own territory. And at that time, he will have the element of the earth as well. So you'll see gradually Xuan De is getting his power is specifically from these 3 perspectives, heaven, earth, and people. Okay. And a little bit about the inconsistency of the characters, I found that to be very interesting. So actually, if you think about Zhuge Liang is such a deified figure, he's so powerful, but how to represent his powerfulness? There are basically two ways to build up Zhuge Liang's genius. The first is to make him more powerful. That is what we already discussed about. That is to give him the ability to summon the wind, to predict the weather, to understand heaven, all these supernatural power. And another way is, or more importantly, is to make his rivals weak. I think the most important is Cao Cao, because all the things Cao Cao think about, all the strategies he made, all the choices, all the determinations he made is a little bit different from Cao Cao from the first half of the novel, from earlier time. So Cao Cao in this specific period seems a little bit like not that smart, as I already said, and easily manipulated by different people. And suddenly he became not that suspicious, but always rashly believe in something, someone or something, which is not very much accord to the characteristics of Cao Cao as we already seen. So I think it's a very interesting question to ask, that is how to understand Cao Cao's several misjudgments. Like he will kill Cai Mao and Zhang Yun, which is very interesting how to think about that, why he made that choice at that moment without a very concrete provement and without second thoughts. And also in the novel, there's one more thing very, very interesting, that is he actually sent out Jiang Gan twice to see Zhou Yu. So the first one is when Jiang Gan brought back a letter written by Cai Mao and Zhang Yun and telling Cao Cao, oh, these two are actually traitors, they plan to kill you or things like that. And later again, Cao Cao sent Jiang Gan to Zhou Yu and bring back the information about Huang Gai. So why, after the first mistake, after even in the novel, Cao Cao realized he was deceived by Zhou Yu because of Jiang Gan's wrong information, he again trusted Jiang Gan and sent out Jiang Gan to Zhou Yu with some mission. So this kind of choices is little bit hard to understand according to Cao Cao's characteristics. So I will call this a inconsistency of characters. But I'm very eager to hear your thoughts on this changing, or maybe you don't think it's a changing of the characteristics of Cao Cao. And one more thing is the discrepancies between the novel and the movie. I already discussed a little bit in the previous slides. So there's three things very interesting. So the first is who actually proposed to connect the ship, which kind of lead to the huge failure of Cao Cao's team. And in the novel, actually it is Pang Tong. Who is Pang Tong? He is a strategist equivalent to Zhuge Liang in terms of ability, and he is working for Zhou Yu. So if you still remember, Zhuge Liang has a nickname, Sleeping Dragon, and Pang Tong actually has a equivalent nickname, which is Young Phoenix. So one is dragon, one is phoenix. Pang Tong is just that smart and powerful like Zhuge Liang. So Pang Tong actually went to Cao Cao's camp and tell Cao Cao, now I'm going to provide you with some strategy to prevent the motion sickness of your army. That is to connect your boats or connect your ships. And that is totally makes sense in the novel, in the context, because that's sort of a very smart way in Cao Cao's mind. But in the movie, that is Cai Mao and Zhang Yun, who are the two traders from the south, now is working for Cao Cao, who proposed to connect the boats. And which sounds a little bit, if you think it twice, you will find it a little bit awkward, because Cai Mao and Zhang Yun actually from the south, they know how to fight on the sea or on the river. So they know a lot of naval skills, but he proposed such a kind of dumb idea to connect the boats. It doesn't make that much sense. So I think this kind of change is very interesting, and we can discuss about it. Discuss about why the director made such change. And one more very, very important change is who eventually deceived Cao Cao. After the borrowing the arrow, after having the wind, there's one more step to trap Cao Cao even more and drag him into the failure. So in the novel, that is Zhou Yu beating Huang Gai, and Huang Gai later kind of pretend to surrender to Cao Cao and to win Cao Cao's trust. So when Huang Gai's ship first goes into Cao Cao's army, Cao Cao was saying, "Oh, that is Huang Gai with his surrendered army to to come and working for me." So that kind of loosens Cao Cao's nerve a little bit. That is called the battered body trick, because Zhou Yu beating Huang Gai so severely, if you're reading the novel, that Huang Gai actually bleed a lot. And also, after beating Huang Gai, Zhou Yu let other people transfer this information of Huang Gai is going to have some discrepancies with Zhou Yu, and now is going to surrender to Cao Cao, all the information back to Cao Cao. So it's one strategy after another strategy, which we can call interlocking strategies. So that's what written in the novel. But in the movie, the whole idea is totally different, because Xiao Qiao, Zhou Yu's wife, becomes the most important figure who determines Cao Cao's failure. Because if you still remember in the movie, Xiao Qiao ride on a boat going to Cao Cao's camp, and even making teas for Cao Cao to intentionally delays Cao Cao's set off of the army, and kind of win time for Zhou Yu's army to win. So Xiao Qiao, she herself become a very important figure. So I think this change is very interesting, and especially consider this movie is a commercial movie and has some box office concerns, and we can discuss about it in the class. Lastly, Cao Cao's ending also varies from the movie to the novel. So in the novel, if you still remember, Zhou Yu, after defeat Cao Cao's army, after actually killed majority of his army and caught Cao Cao, he let him go and said, "There's no victor here." Because if you still remember that situation, Sun Shangxiang, that is Sun Quan's sister, goes back to the battlefield and met one of her old friend, and that old friend is killed by the Wu army. So actually both parties suffers a great loss. So Zhou Yu let him go, said, "Go back to where you come from, because there's no victor here. We are not going to celebrate, and we are not going to kill you." But in the novel, the situation is very different, because Cao Cao is successfully able to escape from the battlefield and retreats to the outcome at Huarong. Then Zhuge Liang sent out Lord Guan to defend that outcome, and actually made Lord Guan vowed to kill Cao Cao if Cao Cao go past by that outcome. But eventually, Lord Guan releases Cao Cao, because again, Cao Cao once again treated him pretty good, very respectfully, and Lord Guan is just such a figure who values righteousness over everything. And then he intentionally releases Cao Cao, and lead to the following and the final ending of Lord Guan as well. So the movie and the novel choose to describe Cao Cao's ending very differently, and I think that's very interesting to compare the two and figure out your explanation for this kind of change. Lastly, I want to introduce two set phrases coming from this specific battle This famous battle left a bunch of very interesting phrases we are still continue to use in modern Chinese. So the first one is 万事俱备，只欠东风, which means everything is ready, we shall only wait for the east wind. And now in Chinese, we use this set phrase to refer to something that everything is ready. We are totally ready, only waiting for the last step. And the next one is 周瑜打黄盖，一个愿打，一个愿挨. Which literally means 周瑜 beating 黄盖. One of them want to beat and one of them wants to be beaten. And basically, when you use this set phrase, you mean everything is my own will, even with some losses. I use my own will to do this. I'm willing to do this. No matter what other people thought, no matter I gain something or I lose something, I'm willing to do this. So you'll see it's very interesting. In modern Chinese, we still refer to the old stories to draw some set phrases in our daily expressions. Okay, that's all for today, and I really hope you enjoy the novel and the movie. Don't forget your comments down below, and I'll see you next Thursday. Okay, bye!